Victor opened his eyes to see a familiar sight, his bedroom ceiling. Huh? How did I get home? He tried to remember the events of the previous evening, but his memories were scrambled and fuzzy, unreachable. Suddenly, he heard an angelic woman's voice call his name. Victor. He sat up, confused. Hello? Who's there? But there was no response. His head throbbed in pain. He braced himself against his bed and felt his hand shoot through the mattress and burst through the wood slats below. His hand had punctured the bed and shattered the bed frame. He quickly pulled back and looked down in confusion. What the hell just happened? His mind raced, but he couldn't retrieve any memories. It's like something is blocking me from my own past. He tried to piece together his fragmented thoughts. Let's start at the beginning. I went to the grocery store to buy the food my mom ordered, but as he tried to retrace his steps, he was distracted by an unbearable thirst. It's like I just ran a marathon and I need a gallon of water immediately. He shot to his feet, ignoring the sounds of wood splintering from the floorboards below. He grabbed the handle to his bathroom door, attempting to open it, but instead ripping it off its hinges, tearing it completely from the wall. He was shocked at the show of force, but didn't have time to admire it, or even question how it was possible. My throat is bone dry. I need water. Now. He ran into the bathroom and tried to turn on the sink. But once again, his strength was too much and the handle snapped off, spewing water everywhere. He stuck his head into the geyser, desperately gulping from the wild stream. He felt the cold water from the tap enter his mouth and seep down his throat, but it didn't satisfy him. I need more. Again, he heard the strange angelic woman's voice emanating in his head. Calm down. Suddenly, his crippling thirst vanished. He collapsed on the ground, panting heavily, comforted and frightened by the voice at the same time. Who's there? He was met with only silence. He took a deep breath. What the hell is happening? He looked at the sink above him, the water still spraying everywhere, now pouring down the counter. I can't leave it like this. He opened the cabinet beneath the sink and wrenched the water valve shut with a flick of his wrist, watching as the broken faucet sputtered to a stop. He sighed in relief and climbed to his feet, perplexed by a glimpse of himself in the mirror. No way. Is that really me? He looked taller. His body was buff, muscles in all the right places, six-pack abs and ripped arms. But what stood out the most about his appearance was his sickly pale skin. He suffered from a rare blood disorder that made him anemic, so he was used to looking gaunt. But the way he looked now, his complexion was almost ghostly. It's like I've been drained of all my blood. On the other hand, he noticed that his face was more defined. His blue eyes and black hair had gained a distinct shine. He was stunned. How is this possible? Was I kidnapped by the government and drafted into some kind of classified super soldier program? He heard a different woman's voice, a familiar one. Victor, what's going on? What's with all the noise? Mom. He took a deep breath and noticed that his throat was once again parched. He looked at the wall and somehow his eyes bore right through it. He saw the outline of his mom, enveloped in a red pulsing glow, her heart beating in a steady rhythm. It's almost like heat vision. Suddenly, he found himself fighting a strong desire to sink his teeth into his mother's flesh and drink her blood. What's wrong with me? His mother was oblivious to his condition. Victor? What's happening? What was that noise? He jolted out of his brief fugue state and called to her in the most normal tone he could muster. I'm fine. But it was obvious by her alarmed response that he failed. Victor? Open the door. What's going on in there? He looked at his reflection in the mirror and noticed that his eyes had turned blood red. Oh, shit. He tried to steady his nerves. Think rationally. He used all of his strength to resist the temptation to barge out of the room and bite his mother's neck. He took a calming deep breath. Mom, I'm busy right now. He saw through the wall as her body language relaxed. Thank God. He couldn't see her facial expressions, but he could see her heart return to pumping at a slower rate. And then he heard her voice again. Can you please open the door, sweetie? He was agitated. I can't. I'm not wearing clothes right now. She exhaled and turned away. Okay, we'll talk when you get out. He saw her saunter down the hallway. Why did she give up so easily? Maybe she thought I was, never mind. He again heard her voice in the distance. Make sure you take out the trash. I shouldn't have to remind you of that, but when you don't have a girlfriend, you end up taking orders from your mother. Oof. Low blow. He couldn't help but crack a smile. My mom is brutally honest, but I love that about her, though she always finds a way to get under my skin. I guess when you're 21 and still living at home, familiarity will breed contempt. He glanced at the clock to see that it was almost 8 a.m. Damn, I have class in 15 minutes. But I'm not sure I should be out and about in my condition. First, I need to figure out what's going on. My college credits can wait. He gazed around his room and assessed the damage. Hole in the bed, broken floor, dismantled door, flooded bathroom. I should probably tidy up before I go anywhere. It took him about 2 hours to make his quarters presentable again. While straightening up, he discovered several new things about himself. In addition to his sudden increase in strength and vision, his other senses were more attuned as well. His hearing was 10 times as acute. I can hear everything in my house and in a 5-block radius. Ugh, this is kind of annoying. He could hear countless voices at once and was unable to discern who was who and where they were coming from. Let me try something. He clicked open a porn file on his computer called The Hardest Game in the World. He concentrated on the adult video playing in front of him. With focus, he was able to eventually drown out the cacophony of other sounds and retain a singular focus on the X-rated images. I hope no one comes in. While focusing intently on the video, he noticed that his sense of smell had also exponentially improved, but the only thing he could smell was blood, all around him. I can't differentiate one blood source from another, but I know it's there, waiting for me to drink it. What a weird feeling. He practiced using his new X-ray vision. When he activated this form of sight, all boundaries around him dissolved and everything turned red. No walls, no partitions, no barriers. This way of seeing also made his unquenchable thirst for blood even more overwhelming. I've got to be careful and use this sparingly. And then all at once, it dawned on him. He could no longer deny the facts. There was only one explanation for all these weird developments. I've become a vampire. Or something very close to it. The telltale signs were obvious: pale skin, red eyes, trim physique, and an insatiable thirst. If I've gained all these strengths, I wonder what my weaknesses are. The most obvious weaknesses he knew from vampire books and movies were garlic, crucifixes, sunlight, and the inability to enter a house uninvited. He decided that no matter how insignificant any of those weaknesses may be, he needed to test them all, to know the limits of his new form. He scanned his room and located a cross necklace hanging from his computer screen. He gingerly reached out and touched it with the tip of his finger, expecting to feel a burning sensation. But nothing happened. Okay, one down. Next on the list was garlic. Hey, I got a pizza a couple nights ago and there was definitely garlic in the sauce. He yanked open the door to his mini fridge and retrieved 2 slices of pizza wrapped in tinfoil. He sniffed the cold pizza. And then he held it to his lips and nervously bit down. As soon as his teeth made contact, his lips clamped shut and his body recoiled. He charged into the bathroom and spit the tiny bite of pizza into the toilet. His face cringed and his stomach churned with nausea. Disgusting. Why do I feel like I've just eaten expired fish? Is the garlic bothering me, or was that pizza just old? He took a series of slow, deep breaths, and gradually the urge to vomit receded. At some point, I need to test a whole clove of garlic. That experiment didn't really tell me anything. He decided that next he needed to test his reaction to the sun. He gently crept up to his bedroom window where the curtain was drawn shut. He pinched the corner of the fabric and cautiously peeled it back. The sunlight peeked through the small gap. He gulped in nervous anticipation. What if it burns my skin? After all, this is known as one of the biggest vampire weaknesses. What if simply putting the tip of my finger in the sun hurts me? But I need to know. Slowly, he inched his finger closer to the sunlight, stopping with only a centimeter to spare. Don't be a chicken, Victor. Do it. With a wince, he thrust his finger forward squarely into the sunlight. He was relieved to see that nothing happened. He felt no pain and saw no change in the condition of his finger. He whisked the curtain fully open, letting sunlight stream into his room. He bathed in the warm glow, allowing the rays to caress his muscular body. He lay back down on his bed and stared at the ceiling. He had no obvious vampire weaknesses, besides a mild aversion to possibly spoiled garlic pizza. But he wasn't yet ready to test the full limits of his vulnerabilities. His eyelids grew heavy as he played back the events of his bizarre morning. He still couldn't remember anything from the night before. I have all the classic characteristics of a vampire, but without any of the detriments? So then what am I exactly? And how did this all happen? Without any clear answers, he drifted into a deep slumber enveloped by darkness. Hours vanished as the day passed by. Slowly, the warm glow of the sun gave way to the cold shadows of night. Soon, everything around Victor was quiet and still. And that's when he suddenly jolted awake. Covered in sweat, his vision pulsing. He was consumed by a single disturbing fear, feasting on the juicy, beating heart inside his mother's chest. The hunger was unbearable. I can't control this horrible feeling. My family is in grave danger.